How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we are watching another awesome replay of Branded Bystial versus Ishizu. Before we begin, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I've been sick throughout the whole week, so excuse my voice, it's not going to be up to par as I usually speak in the rest of my videos. Also lost my beard. It just dropped overnight. No, kidding. Yeah. This is another gameplay in the Inside the Mind series. I think this is an awesome example of the grind game and resilience that Branded has especially against things like Branded Ishizu, against Tearlaments Ishizu, sorry. I think this really shows that, first of all, if you lose game one, it's all good. You can still bounce back from it, and also that this deck can really hold its own against Tearlaments Ishizu. So let's look at the hands first of all. So on the tier side, we actually don't have any names, which is good. We have Keldo and Mudora. We have an Imperm, which is something that you don't see 100% of the time, and we have two Bystials. On my end, we actually don't have any engine as well. We have Magnema Beast, which is an awful draw that I really hate to draw. Mask Change 2 with Patchwork, which actually works, as you'll see in a second. And Retribution, again, pretty bad. Although it's a discard, it's still pretty bad. So for me, like the thought process here, because this is obviously like a pretty hard break, I would assume, you can go into Dark Law with Mask Change using Adjump Chain. So what I figured I would do is just like set this up. I have a Bystial in hand, so I know the beast is possibly going to be live. Adjump Chain can turn into Dark Law. I have a discard. I mean, sometimes that's the hand you draw, and that's the way you need to play it. So this is basically what I did. My opponent didn't have any engine as well, so now he draws the Havness, but still he doesn't really have anything to play with specifically. He has like a rank 4 basically, and no darks in graveyard as well. Immediately I chain Mask Change just to get that Dark Law, because I saw like what's coming, so I didn't want anything else. But it was kind of a misplay on my end, because he just added the Kelbeck, and on resolution the Kelbeck can actually activate because I discarded a card for Mask Change and actually just bounced my Dark Law back into the deck. So which is exactly what happens. Sort of miscalculated there. Still, like, the problem with Dark Law is that it's 100 attack points off of a Bystial. Like, every Bystial can just attack over it. So what you saw there is that once per turn, Dark Law has another effect that you can rip a card out of your opponent's hand randomly if they add a card from the deck. So they added the Kelbeck, and I banished their Havness. So it was the only engine card basically that they had. Still, it wouldn't have been enough. I do get the search for the Patchwork. Now they have a target. I chain my own Magnemite, and then they just basically Bagooska pass. There's not a lot you can do against Bagooska with Branded, but unfortunately I have exactly that. They do set the impermanence here, so that might be a little bit difficult. I do search the Albaz, and I draw the Geometers, which is not that bad, to be honest. Still not exactly like engine. So the good thing here, because I realized that this is an Imperm, if you only have the one Bystial on the field, you can just dodge the Imperm completely, and you can just pop it. So now he's basically left with two Bystials, and I have, a little bit more than they do. I normal summon the Adjump Chain to go for a Chimera, possibly like baiting some interaction, and I activate the Poly, and they chain the Imperm, which is honestly very smart, because they didn't want to have any cards on the field. Otherwise, I would have drawn two cards. In this case, I don't. So Imperm resolves, negates this column basically, which is the beast, which is not that big a deal. But I do like spend a lot of resources here to get the Chimera. I try to get the Dramaturge, hits with the Bystial, obviously. My Chimera can't be targeted because of poly, so I just swing into it, set 1, and they just play like, you know, the Bystial game. So here, it just steamrolls basically because Beatrice, like two level 6s is just so powerful in this deck because of Beatrice. Beatrice just starts off the combo, but they don't have any other Bystials, Tearlament monsters in the graveyard, so it's actually not that bad. And you know, if we keep playing it out, I mean, they can go into Beatrice and they can dump. Then they dump the Sulliak that actually gets them a search. But the thing is, if Tyr doesn't have a field spell on the field, they cannot get through a Chimera by ordinary means. Like, no main monster in the deck can out it besides Zeus, basically, because nothing can target it. And all of the removal and negation targets. So they kind of go off here. I mean, just like, you know, the Bystials do so much for this deck, but I don't scoop because they still don't have an out to this exactly. They mill like crazy. They hit everything. You know, they draw. They basically play, but still, like, they don't have an out specifically for Chimera. Then I draw the Branded Fusion. So the reason I didn't go for a Lubellion here is I wanted to get the search for a Tragedy to get more spells and traps into rotation. I wanted to get the Aluber. And this, like, as a dragon, it still works if I have the Beast on the field. So Tragedy grabs the Aluber, and Tragedy is also really good follow-up. Like, for the next turn, you can banish it and grab something. They chain Beatrice. Bring back the Merly. Then they start milling me like crazy. So here, I mill the Lubellion, which I figured like could happen. They could just mill your Lubellion for you. And then this Lubellion can become like tribute for that. Still, I'm not at a very, very good spot here. You know, they start like summoning like crazy, but they can't out the Chimera. They still can't out the Chimera. Even though they have so much power. They out it. They spin back my Beast. I summon the Lubellion and grab it back. They still have an Imperm. They haven't used it. They're probably going to use it now on Aluber, which is a good call. Then I can basically just swing. Beatrice activates the effect again. Just making sure, like, if I out it, that they get another search for it. Now, I actually don't out it because I don't really care that it's on the field. It could go into Zeus with one material. I don't really care about that. And Kaleidoheart is also really bad. Like, also really, yeah, bad for them to have on the field. They don't have any other names. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They start using their shufflers. I chain Retribution here, which is something that a lot of times I like to do. Because I milled like Branded in red, which is really good, or regained that I can bring back off of Beast. So they want to shuffle it. Use their shufflers before the end phase. A lot of the times I would just chain the Retribution after they activate the shuffler to force them to use another shuffler. Just to waste the name because I know that it's not going to go through. So this is exactly what I do. I don't exactly have control over this game, but look at like what one Chimera can do if they don't have a field spell. They draw the Rhino, switch everything to attack, start fusion summoning, and again, they go for the Beast. They always go for the Beast, which I don't really understand why. I know it's such a good card, but they always go for the Beast. Like, not the set, not the Lubellion. I chain the Beast here, obviously. Get rid of the Beatrice. My Dragon, Dweller, which doesn't do a lot for me right now. But then they just have to go into Zeus. So I could have seen that line coming. And use the Beast on like one of the level 4s. They only had like the one level 4. So I couldn't really see the exact line they were going into. But I knew that their only out was basically Zeus. So could have seen that. Here I kind of lose control of the game because the Chimera, look at how much work the Chimera actually puts in. But still, you know, I'm in a losing position the entire game. But I'm still like, I still have field control throughout the entire like first game. Tragedy, Shuffler, and that's basically like the sign to scoop it up. If you want 5% off any single or sealed product and want to support me and the channel, head over to tierzerogames.com and use code GALZO5 at checkout. They go up 1-0, which is understandable. It makes sense. They open crazy. All the names and 2 Bystials, obviously. And I got 2 Bystials in hand and a Foolish Barrel, which is really good. So here, Tragedy grabs the Owlbear. And I chain the Mask Change here to make sure like I don't get any Havness shenanigans, anything like that. It's so good. And here I just go for the line. And they activate both Bystials on both of my Albaz, just to banish both of them. And tell you a secret, I currently play 2 in my build. So I win this game without Branded Fusion being able to resolve for the rest of the game. This is the only time I resolve Branded Fusion. They go after both of my Albaz. So I have to resolve Albion here, and the thought process here is that they will need to out the Darklaw first before they actually start playing Tearlaments. And having Queritus on the field just makes sure that, like, you know, this gets zeroed out as well, but that I don't take like damage, or that they have to sacrifice their own Bystials to play that. So just like as a protective measure. I can still go into Lubellion, Beast, and I grab Expulsion here. So the reason I grab Expulsion, I setted it in for like, you know, the Edo Nightmare Puppet lock thingy. But I didn't end up going into that line. But since I can still use the Albion, I have a Queritus here. So my thought process was, if they try to go Battle Phase, I just go Expulsion, summon back an Albaz, and fuse with their board, basically. This was my thought process. It was pretty cool, I think. So this is exactly what happens. I sacrifice it. I give them the Tragedy. I activate the Albaz. They chain Havness. For some reason, I don't really know. I fuse with both of their monsters. And since they don't go to the graveyard because of Darklaw, like, they don't get the Druid's Worm. So I just clear out their only like way to out the Darklaw. But unfortunately, they of course draw the Magnemite. Could have chained my own Magnemite here, but I don't really like. At this point, look at how many resources they use to out the Darklaw. Like, look at how many resources they need to use in order to get rid of it. So they finally do. It might have been smart here to just hold, like, chain my own Magnemite and hold on to the Darklaw as much as possible because they can play through it. But now they just go into Dark. I pop. And I pop using the Albalenides because I get the search on the end. But then I realize that both of my Albaz are actually banished. Yeah. Dark goes, searches for Havness. Of course, they have Sheeran. They actually miss. Oh no, they hit the Havness. I have the Bystial. They say, of course, obviously. And then they normal summon Merlin. Like, how dare you? And then they just go milling like crazy. And, you know, they waste everything and they end on full combo still. So I get the Regained. They can still play here, like, really crazy. Elf brings back the Dark, possibly to get them another search. They shuffle my cards back. And again, I'm kind of in a losing position here. And I search for this at the end phase. And this is just like how incredibly powerful the Bystials are. So I draw a Tragedy, Lubellion to search during the main phase, and they crime it, which is interesting. I switch to attack, Elf, Druid's Worm on the target. They chain their own Druid's Worm. I set the Tragedy here just to make sure that I have a little bit more protection. And again, look at this position that I'm in. Can you actually believe I win this game without Branded Fusion? I don't know how I did it. Yeah, I popped the field spell, obviously. Sprint goes on to Fusion. Druid's Worm. So just like now, they always react to my Druid's Worm, and I always have it in hand. I just always have it in the hand. So every time they do something, they have to deal with this Druid's Worm because they wouldn't let it resolve. I'm fine with taking this damage. Albion, pretty good here. Tragedy, trying to bait out their own, the last shuffler that they have in the graveyard. I target the Expulsion just like for, you know, as a meme. Druid's Worm, the Kid Kalos, get the Regained. Patchwork, just to get more cards in hand, just like a Pot of Greed, to be honest. Attack this. Like, I know they went through like a lot here. They went through, they still have a Dark in the extra deck here that they can go into. But I go Beast, get rid of their Druid's Worm because they don't really have anything to pop anymore. Regained to make sure that if they summon, I can summon my own card. And then they just swing. Poly for these two, go for a Masquerade. And now I know I can start like burning. Even if like, you know, they don't have the Kalos anymore. They don't have any of these. So they're kind of left on like the big fusions that I believe I can out. So now they start paying. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Do as many like, you know, effects as possible. Just burn yourself to death. Because I know I'm going to get another Masquerade as well. So I thought they were, I didn't even notice they target the Beast here. I was like sure that they're going to target the Masquerade, but they didn't. They actually targeted the Beast. I get another Magnamut. Still have Bystials in the deck, and now they just burn themselves basically. Theater, I go for another Masquerade. And yeah, just 2 Masquerade here. So the funny thing is, it puts a lot of pressure, but on the other hand, it doesn't get over the Kaleido Heart. And notice that throughout this entire game, I had Branded Fusion hand, just couldn't use it because of the Albas being in the banished, both of them, just couldn't use it. So they attack this. I bring back the Aluber, just like putting. This is what Branded does really well, puts a ton of pressure, and just like everything is live all the time. And now they have to activate the Scream. That's another 600 life points. Any effects in graveyard still. They actually couldn't activate the Scream here. I kind of corrected it for them because it was the damage step. And then they just scoop here. I'm not 100% sure why they scooped here, but they did. And I go second. I open Shifter, which is basically enough. They open Merly, and like, look at this. This is absurd. Yeah, normal Merly, Chain Shifter, a classic. Magnamut, chain my own Magnamut. And again, they surrender here. I think this replay isn't like the best game of all time, but it does show how much this deck can be resilient. Maybe this build is not like the most optimal one with the Dark Claw, costs a lot out of the hand, but I still think it's really fun to see like how much Tearlaments players have to invest in order to get rid of the one Dark Claw. So yeah, thank you. Hope you learned something today. I really enjoyed this. And leave a thumbs up in the video. Subscribe if you're new. Consider joining the channel as a member if you want to support and help me further, like, you know, make more content and have a lot more fun with it. Thank you so much for watching again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.